Hey, everybody. Welcome to Winners and Whiners Radio Tuesday edition. I am your host, Scott Steehn, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com.
And I'm the co-host here, Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over at winnersandwhiners.com. And we're going to break down some games today on Winners and Whiners Radio. You ready?
That's it. Yeah, we're going to talk a little Olympics. We're going to talk a little NFL, break down the baseball card, maybe even some sports, maybe even tennis of all sorts, Scott. Some tennis on the court, some tennis on the tables. All sorts of fun things like that. I'm anxious to get to it. Should be a fun show. As always, a quick reminder that you are listening to Winners and Whiners Radio. Winners and Whiners Radio, give us an hour, and we'll give you the winners. All winners, no whiners. That's kind of what we do around here. And, of course, stay tuned. We'll be doing some of our fun segments to find out who Donkey of the Day is. And, of course, we're going to find out who you should be betting the farm on today. Nice little farm play from yesterday. We'll see if we can keep that going. Now, Scott, I do want to start the show with some news. I have decided on a late career change in my life. I certainly enjoy hosting the radio show. I enjoy being a professional handicapper, but I found a job, Scott, that I think I am eminently qualified for.
Well, you found it because of me, so I deserve partial credit.
I'm going to have to leave all this behind. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I did not know this was a thing before today, and I'm super excited about it. I'm going to retire, Scott, and become an Olympic swimming lifeguard because that's a thing. The Olympics have a lifeguard. Now, raise your hand if you knew this was a thing. All right? Everybody got their hands up? Okay.
I told you about it, so I kind of have.
You did. You told me about it. There is such a thing as an Olympic lifeguard. Somebody that stands, and they don't sit up in the chair. They stand behind the lane with the, what do you call it, Scott? The Baywatch buoy in their hands.
I called it a buoy. That's how, at least I feel like everyone knows what we're talking about. It's a buoy satchel type of thing.
Yeah, it's the buoy with the straps on it. They've got one of those, so if they need to go into the water, swim against the current, they can do that. It looks like a fantastic job. And for the record, Scott, I did look this up. The Olympic lifeguard has never, ever come into play. The Olympic lifeguard has never been needed in the pool.
Perfect for you. You don't have to do anything.
Even when Greg Louganis cracked his skull, he just swum it off, Scott. I guess you can't really walk it off, but he was able to swim it off, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I'm going to miss you guys. I really am. And I don't know what I'm going to do for the next 4 years, but I'm going to be training. I'm going to be training to be an Olympic lifeguard. So this may not take effect for a minute.
Do you practice sitting in a chair? How does that work for your practice?
I'm going to have to get a whistle, and I'm going to have to get some sort of a buoy and just sit in my chair. Maybe yell at the kids for running.
Can you bring like the inflatable duck type of thing for you to go into the pool with?
Oh, sure. I would think that's absolutely. You can have like the swan around your waist. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure, that's a thing. I don't see why that would be a problem.
Water wings optional, of course.
Of course. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. So guys, if you're watching this on the YouTube, drop us a comment. Let us know what your favorite Olympic sport is, what you're having fun watching. Scott, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I know you're a big tennis guy. How's Olympic tennis going for you?
So far, no serious upsets. You might have had one or two smaller ones, but the main people are still in it, which is not that surprising because most of them are about one match in or two matches in. Djokovic is probably going to win the gold medal, but we'll see what happens. Other than that, no, same old, same old. But Osaka is there, so I guess she is feeling better mentally, and she's looked pretty good so far in the actual event.
Yes, I remember her from the whole Olympic torch thing.
Yes.
So I saw Andy Murray had to go home because of the COVID.
Murray didn't play. I'm not fully sure if it was COVID-related or injury-related because he's had injuries for the last couple of years. The one big upset was in women. The Wimbledon champion Barty lost already, so that's kind of a huge upset. But other than that, everything's kind of been holding serve.
Okay. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, see, I've been working on that one.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Look out, folks. He's got a pun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Well, let's kick off the show as we always do. Find out who took it in the shorts. Who thought they had a winner right up until the time they didn't. Spoiler alert. It was probably me. No, I don't think I got hammered today, Scott. I think I stayed off of this list. This is the list you never want to be on. This is when things get stolen from you, Scott. All you can do is just sit back and fume, see that steam coming out of your ears, and call the cops. All right, Scott, I know you're excited today because we have a tennis. We have a tennis bad beat. We were able to sneak a call the cops from the world of tennis in there, but we're going to start in the major leagues. As you have the Nationals on the money line going up against the Phillies. Oh, Nationals, you were in such good shape. They're up 5-3, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. 2 men on for the Phillies. Oh, Scott, I think I see where this one is headed. What happened exactly?
A walk-off through and home run by
Oh,
McCutcheon.
that's not good. That is not good at all. Oh, Nationals bullpen. Remember when you were supposed to not suck? Yeah, good times indeed. Hey, if you had the Nationals on the money line, you watched that 3-run bomb go over the wall in the bottom of the ninth, and before it landed, your ticket was in shambles, and all you could do was call the cops.
And the second one involves tennis, because I'm going to break it
Woohoo!
down. Sam Querrey taking on Gojowitz. And if you had Querrey on the money line, I actually had Gojowitz, so I was on the right side of this one. Querrey had 36 aces and faced 0 break points. He lost the match.
How is that even possible, Scott?
He lost both tiebreakers. He won the first set 6-4, so you were also up a set, still didn't get broken, didn't even face a break point. And he lost both breakers, and Querrey ended up picking up the loss there. Really insane line movement on that match, by the way. Gojowitz went from like plus 130 to minus 115 in the span of about 4 hours. I was on the right side of it. If you had Querrey, you can't really serve much better, but you can definitely return a lot better because he didn't really return many serves quite well.
36 aces sounds like a lot. I'm not a tennis guy, but that sounds like a lot in 3 sets? 12?
That's a lot for 3 out of 5 sets. Like out of 5 sets, 36 is a lot. Out of 3 sets, that's crazy. But facing no break points and still losing, that's just inventing another way to lose.
Yep. Congratulations to Querrey there for inventing a new way to lose, facing no break points with 36 aces. That's an epic call the cops right there. It really
is. It's also in America. Tournament was in Atlanta. So we also had the home crowd. Didn't matter.
No, not one bit. Well, Scott, if you had China in the mixed doubles table tennis, I know you probably did, right?
See, you give me a hard time by talking about tennis, and now you're bringing in mixed ping pong, but you have a good reason for it. So I'll let you finish it.
I am, because this is the first time we've done a table tennis bad beat. I have to beat you about the head and shoulders every day to keep tennis off of this list. You people listening and watching, you have no idea what I do for this show. It's every day Scott comes with 3 tennis bad beats, and I'm like, no, Scott. No one cares.
3, usually that. Like 1.5.
You got 1.5 bad beats. Well, if this guy would have lost, it would have been a bad beat, but he didn't. All right, so if you had China, mixed doubles table tennis, congratulations, you had a massive favorite. China absolutely dominates this sport. They won 32 of the 36 gold medals possible heading into this Olympic Games. They're favored in every match. They had lost 1 game, Scott, heading into the finals. They're playing against Japan. Everything's clicking right along. They're up 2-0, playing best of 7. They're up 4 points to 0, playing to 11. They're up 4-0 in the third game. Everything clicking, like I said, right along. And Japan, all of a sudden, they rallied, Scott. They won 3 straight games, and then they got whooped by China in the 6th game. Looked like China was going to be able to right the ship, head back, and take the victory. Japan got off to a big lead in the 7th game and ended up winning it 11-6. Japan is your new mixed doubles Olympic gold medal winner. And if you had China, you paid a hefty price, and you got robbed. It is time to call the table tennis cops.
How did China do in previous Olympic events regarding table tennis? Are they pretty good?
Yeah, they're good. They won 32 of the 36 gold coming into this Olympics.
Ouch. That's pretty bad.
Very good. And, as being an ex-table tennis player, Scott, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching the match. I had the sound up. I had it on the big screen. It was a nice little moment there. So,
now, I'm assuming that for mixed table tennis or just doubles of any kind, you have the players on the same side alternate shots?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And you always have to watch who's serving to who, because obviously the females returning the males' shots gives an advantage to the team that's
serving.
Yes, that's serving.
Yeah.
So and then they switch each game. They switch the rotation. So yeah, it's kind of it's kind of a fun thing, and it's kind of a ballet just to play doubles table tennis, because like you said, you know, it's not, you can't just stake out a spot. You have to change and hit every other shot. So it's kind of a fun thing to see. Even if you're not a table tennis thing, it was a good sporting event, and I really enjoyed it, and it was nice. I always root for the underdog. It would have been fantastic to see a full stadium and see Japan, because it's huge in Japan. Table tennis is, and that crowd would have been going absolutely nutso, and that would have been a lot of fun to see. But you know, I'm sure they'll take their gold medal and be plenty happy with it. Congratulations to Japan on your table tennis gold medal.
I don't know much to add.
I think, yeah, you didn't want to break down table tennis for another 5 minutes. I like
table tennis, but you watched it, I didn't, so that's why I didn't do it.
Everybody that tuned out for tennis, they go, well, okay, well, we'll check out the third one. They tuned it back on. They go, nope, still talking about table tennis. All right, Scott. Well, there was some good news, and these are the right side. This is where you want to end up if you're making your bets. You want to be on this segment. These are the people that had nice, easy victories. Negative perspiration, no doubt about it ever. You were sitting in the rocking chair.
So the first one was in Olympic men's basketball between Argentina and Slovenia. If you had the over 177.5, very easy. You had at least 48 points in every quarter. You had 64 points in the fourth quarter. Doncic decided to go off by himself and have 48 points alone, and the game ended 118-100. So in a game with a college basketball type of total at 177.5, you had a game that landed somewhere around where most NBA games do.
Outstanding. Well, we're going to talk about a little baseball, Scott. If you had the Astros and the Seattle Mariners on the over, you were in really good shape, and it didn't take long. 8.5 was your number there. Astros come out and hang a 6 spot on Seattle. That was on young Master McCann, who is a rookie, getting some early looks. Not good. 4 innings pitched, 7 earned runs for him total. And 6 runs top of the first. The over cashed in the 4th inning. It didn't take long before the over was over, and you were sitting in the rocking chair.
And the last one was a doubleheader. If you had the Braves and Mets game 1 and or game 2 under, it was a nice and easy winner, because game 1 had 2 runs total and game 2 had 1 run total. So if you had the under in either game 1 or game 2 or both, 3 combined runs in 14 innings of work. That's pretty easy, isn't it?
Outstanding. That's an outstanding cash. We had, as a premium play, we had the under in game 1. Really happy with that. And yeah, like you said, it would have been hard to go wrong playing team total unders, full game unders, first 5 unders, whatever you wanted to play there. It was an underwhelming type of series. So congratulations to everybody that cashed those under tickets on the Braves Mets game 1 and game 2. So Scott, a quick reminder that we are brought to you by winnersandwhiners.com. This is the spot where we get to plug Winners and Whiners. And Scott, I don't know how did you end up finding Winners and Whiners? How did you run across them?
Originally, I was in college trying to find random information on some college football matchups, and I don't remember if it was the Sun Belt or the MAC or something obscure, and Winners and Whiners had me covered.
See, that's the great thing about it. If you love college football, if you love mid-major or small college basketball, they've got write-ups. A lot of these other places you go to check. Number one, nobody does more stats and information and lay it out in a nice, comprehensive form, because it seems to me when you have sites that try to preview games or whatever, you've got on one side, you've got all information. They just lay out just tons of numbers. They don't really interpret the numbers. They just kind of vomit out numbers, and you're left to figure it out on your own. And then you've got other sites that you can tell they're completely bluffing. They haven't checked the games. They're going, well, this pitcher's pretty good. He should do good. This pitcher's not very good. He should do bad. They don't give you any kind of matchup stats or anything at all. So Winners and Whiners strikes a nice balance where they break the games down. They give you all the relevant stats. And best of all, Scott, they take a position. They tell you who they're betting on and why. I love it. I found them just like you did. I was doing research for March Madness and ran across them and really enjoyed what they were doing and said, I think this is a place I'd like to work. So make sure you stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com. It is the #1 site in the world for predictive sports analysis. Full previews, predictions, every game, every single day, always free. Winnersandwhiners.com. Check it out, won't you? All right, Scott. Well, let's take a look and go to our final segment here to start the show. This is where we talk about somebody or something, some entity that maybe didn't have their best day.
I'm going to let you do it today.
Scott, it is once again time to get out the feed bag, put on your yoke, and check out today's donkey of the day. All right, Scott, I'm going to be gentle here. Yesterday, you and I were discussing Olympic basketball, and we were talking about the United States basketball team and their upcoming game with Iran. And we were speculating as far as what that line might have been. I was in the low 30s, thought it would be around somewhere in the neighborhood of 31, 32. And you said, oh, no, that's way too high. You thought this game would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 29, 29 and a half. Scott, if I were to bet on Iran right now against the United States, how many points would I get?
41 and a half.
41 and a half. Missed it by that much. So, Scott, have you checked out any alternative run lines or any alternative lines? Like if you wanted to take Iran plus 30, what kind of odds would you get? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. See, but you misunderstood something. I believe I was referring to the first half. I think that's where you made a mistake there. But it goes back to what I said, even though I was wrong about the line. I'm not going to pretend. We speculate so many lines, especially with Olympic basketball and other sports where you don't really get a great grasp because you can have an impression on a team, but you look at the rosters and you realize that you kind of can't blame the sports books for trying to make Team USA that big of a favorite. I thought the books were going to overreact to the loss against France. I underestimated how bad Iran is, so that's on me. But still, yeah, I kind of earned this one just because I wasn't even close to what the actual number was.
Now, I will say, if the United States beats Iran by 30 or less, I will come back on the show and I will make myself donkey of the day for calling you out for missing the line by 13 points. My favorite, I have to say it, I have to roast you just a little bit more, my friend. My favorite was when we were talking about this and you said, yeah, but the line opened at 36. So, all right, congratulations. You were only 7 off.
Doesn't that surprise you, though, that 5 points of line movements come on the U.S.? I know the U.S. is clearly better just talent-wise. That doesn't surprise you, or do you think people are just overreacting to, well, they can't lose 2 in a row. Now the U.S. are going to be motivated.
Yes, that's exactly the case. I don't know how many times you have to put your hand on the stove to figure out it's hot, but I think for people betting on USA basketball, it's going to be at least one more time. Now, since we've taken this tack, Scott, who do you like in this game?
I'm not laying 41 with Team USA.
Can't do it.
I think if you want to take Team USA, maybe look to a team total if you think that they're going to score at will. But do I trust this team defensively? No. So I'd look maybe towards a team total, or if you really think Team USA buries them, first half maybe. Like I wouldn't want to touch this. I don't know how you can. Like you really can't find another Olympic event. I'd rather bet on archery than betting 40 and a half on Team USA. I have to take Iran, Scott. I don't have I mean, you go with the roster and you say Team USA should win by 90, but they also should have probably beaten France by 20 plus and they lost outright. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. Probably shouldn't have lost to Nigeria. Probably true. They were 30-point favorites over Nigeria? Yep. About 30 and a half. No, let me ask you this about the Olympics. They're not going to lose to Iran, by the way. That's not happening. But I don't know if they're going to cover. Are you intrigued when you see these matchups between countries like Iran and the USA, where they regularly organize rallies in the streets of Tehran and chant death to America? Does it provide any extra impetus for players on the U.S. side or for the coaching staff? Do you even call that politics at that point? Is that just global political reality that Iran I don't think it matters at all. You don't think that matters? You don't think that's an extra motivation at all? Not for the players in Team USA, no. I think it
Okay.
matters if you're talking about other Middle East countries against each other. Like if Iran is against Israel or
Right.
something like that, then I think that might matter. I don't think it really matters when it comes to looking at Team USA, who's thousands of miles away. I think that you can make an argument in some cases that might apply for you have the Middle East against each other. You have the 80s Olympics with Team USA against the Soviet Union. So you do have some exceptions here and there. But for the most part, I don't think Team USA is going to try extra hard because Iran doesn't like America. I don't
Okay.
see that happening.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. By the way, in the 80 Olympics, we boycotted. So we did not go to the 80 Olympics because of Russia invading Afghanistan.
Still the Lake Placid stuff.
Yeah, winter. And I'm talking about the summer games. And
I was talking about, 80 was winter, right?
Hmm?
Wasn't Lake Placid 1980?
They were the same year
Okay.
up until early 2000s, late 1990s when they did the Olympics. They did the winters with a 2-year gap, and then they alternated every 2 years. But
Point is, if you're
until then,
thinking about like political significance, I think of Middle East against each other.
Yeah.
I think of Lake Placid, and you can talk about Jesse Owens in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
I think those are the three that at least I think of immediately when it comes to.
You have Tommy Smith and Jean Carlos with the raised fist at Mexico City in 1968.
That's true.
That was kind of a huge deal. So
that's true too.
All right. Well, it's just kind of an interesting. It would be nice if the Olympic ideal and it really brings nations together and we forget about it. And maybe that's the case. We'll see. We'll see what happens if they just keep the hammer down in basketball. So, all right, Scott. Well, we actually thought we were going to be able to make it a whole day without talking about COVID or Aaron Rodgers. Now, there's not a lot of big COVID news. It keeps doing what it's doing. But there is some Rodgers news. So they're apparently going to work out a deal within his deal because he already has a deal. Didn't want the new deal, but now he wants a new deal. He wants to come back to Green Bay, but just for one season. And then they're going to reevaluate at the end of this season. Scott, first of all, do you believe the reports? Do you believe it's all over now? Rodgers is going to stay in Green Bay and be happy as a clam?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
You think there's more to come?
I think it's very, very strange that Davante Adams decided that he was going to hold out as well. And then Rodgers just immediately, allegedly pulled a 180. And now he wants to come back. It just doesn't add up for me chronologically. Does it to you?
I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know if Adams and Rodgers are texting with each other. I don't know if there's some kind of...
I saw on Instagram, sorry to interrupt, but there was a photo of Jordan and Pippen together, like doing some fist bump or hugging or something.
I saw that.
Both Rodgers and Adams shared the same photo on Instagram. So it made it seem like they were doing some type of combo. So maybe Rodgers and Adams are doing the good cop, bad cop routine. I don't really know what's going on there. But I do think it's a little weird that as soon as Adams said, I don't want to report, now Rodgers might get a contract, but that doesn't answer if Adams is going to get a contract. So I don't really know what's going on, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, I'll tell you this. Rodgers is not coming back without Adams. So I guarantee you he had some kind of assurances from Davante Adams, whether it was a planned deal or whether he just checked before he said he was amenable to playing. I don't know. But, I wanted to make you were such a perfect donkey of the day, but there was a really good runner-up, and that was Denver fans.
Because I actually thought they were going to get him.
Yeah, well, they thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers, and they thought they were. And now the latest one that they think they're going to get is, from Houston.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Watson, exactly. So
that could also be another donkey of the day. The Houston Texans for wanting 5 draft picks for a guy who might go to jail in about 5 months. That's another one you could have thrown in there.
They want what do they wanted 3 number ones.
They wanted 3 number ones and
2 starters.
I think something like that. It was basically like 5 quality options there for a guy who might be in prison.
Go home, Houston. You're drunk.
I respect them for, I guess, trying, but
Right.
you got to read the room a little bit.
Yeah, I think under the best of circumstances, that's his price. Maybe. Do you give up 3 ones and 2 starters for Deshaun Watson?
Assuming he had no legal trouble?
Yeah. If it was, let's say it was a year ago right now.
I think a lot of it depends on what your current, I'd say, state of the team is. If
Denver.
you are Denver, do I want to give up that much to go against Mahomes for the next 2 decades? I think you have to, right? I mean, Mahomes is going to kill you for the next decade and a half unless he gets injured. So you have to try to keep pace. So I would say yes. But if you're a team like Jacksonville, who is, I know they got Lawrence, but I mean, hypothetically, you're a team like the Jets or the Bank, like pure basement.
Bears?
No, because the Bears, I actually think, might be a quarterback away from being somewhat competitive. I mean, like an actual dumpster fire organization.
Okay.
Let's say Houston. Let's say they trade Watson and they take the picks that they got and acquire Aaron Rodgers in some made-up scenario. That's not worth it because your team's going to be terrible anyway.
Right.
Rodgers can only push you so far. Like, you could end up pushing a terrible team to maybe 9-7 or 9-8 now and make the playoffs.
Right.
You're not going to win a title if most of your roster is terrible anyway. So it depends on what the current state of your team is.
Well, they could just bring Bill O'Brien back. He could trade those 3 number ones for a backup tight end, a injured offensive guard, and some magic beans.
But for the sake of this example, I said Houston. Let's say the Lions, in some made-up scenario, would end up being able to acquire a superstar quarterback. Does it make any sense for the Lions to trade 3 firsts for a non-legally issued Deshaun Watson? Of course not, because that team has holes at every other position.
Yeah, you've got, number one, you are going to take, as a team, you are going to take such a PR hit. It is going to be massive.
Well, we were assuming, you mentioned the situation if he was innocent. So I'm just saying in general, the idea of acquiring a huge franchise cornerstone player makes sense. But if your goal is to win a title, you need to not be below league average at every other position on the team.
Yeah.
Like, if you talk about dream scenarios, 49ers are a great example because they are set at every position besides arguably quarterback. But the Lions, hell yeah, you could have Aaron Rodgers. You could also have Devontae Adams. You're still not going to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
The team's terrible at every other position.
Well, isn't that kind of the situation with Denver? I mean,
Denver, you can make an argument that their defense might have some upside, but with Fangio as the coach, they're not going to win anything.
That's what I'm saying. I think there is no way, I will make this bold prediction right now. There is no way Watson plays for anybody except Houston in this upcoming season.
I agree.
There is no possibility that any team, number one, meets that price. That's ridiculous.
What do you think he's even worth now? Is he even worth like a first round pick?
Yeah, he's worth a 1.
I mean, right now, assuming you don't know the outcome of the trial.
A 1, a 4 starting lineman.
And that's assuming right now that you're just going into the trial 50-50 shot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm willing to risk.
That's fair.
And maybe only if I have a couple of first round picks.
Okay.
I have an extra first round pick. I'm more willing to make that deal. But I don't know any team that would take the PR hit because it's going to be massive, Scott. I was here when Andy Reid hired Michael Vick to be like an assistant to the assistant coach. People went nuts, and that was a long time after he'd been in prison, and obviously had been a model citizen since then. And he was
also a starting quarterback for a couple of years there.
I don't want to anger the ASPCA people, but it was dogs versus women. So I'm going to go ahead and just say it. I think that's a worse crime. Obviously torturing dogs is a horrible, horrible crime. But if
the Watson one's worse, based on the allegations.
If you have to rank them, you have to say assaulting women is a worse crime. Sorry, there, I've said it. There is no team willing to take the PR hit. Not a chance. Not a chance.
I think that's probably true, but never underestimate the importance of winning in this industry. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. And that's not a bad take. That's a very.
You mentioned this months ago. I said that people would take risks on guys like Greg Hardy, who had the domestic violence issue. Ray Rice never played again, but he was more of just I don't want to say a scapegoat.
And you know why Ray Rice never played again? One reason.
Because it was on camera?
Yes. because it was on camera. If you described that, if you said they were in an elevator and Mr. Rice punched Miss whatever and she fell to the ground, you'd be like, well, that's pretty bad. He really shouldn't have punched her. But when you saw that, when you saw the force and you saw him not hold back anything.
Also, him dragging her out of the elevator wasn't a good look.
Yeah, no.
To that.
No, it was brutal.
But the point is that brutal. I think you can look at a lot of characters in the NFL, and character is not even the right word, but a lot of stupid people in the NFL who do things.
People with character issues.
Yes, that's a better way to put it. Point is that they still get second and third chances all the time. Antonio Brown got a bunch of chances. He's done a lot of bad things. There was a video of Kareem Hunt kicking that woman. Right. It's not the same thing as the Ray Rice situation, but the point is both of them got a bunch of chances because they're good at football. And I think that is always going to play the other side of can this help keep their careers afloat? And I think the answer is yes.
For the record, I'd like to point out that Kareem Hunt did not get another chance with the Kansas City Chiefs.
He did not, but I'm saying that another team did sign him, I'm sure no Browns fans regret them signing him ever since.
Although,
just saying.
Talk about a team that didn't really need him.
Do you think the Eagles regretted signing Michael Vick when he led them to the playoffs in his first year? Of course not.
That's
what I'm saying. So I agree with you that no team should give him another shot, assuming that the allegations are true. But a team's going to. It's going to happen.
Well, I mean, a cynic could say, well, everybody gets a second chance. Well, you could argue to say Deshaun Watson's had 22 chances.
Correct. But I think a team might give him a 23rd if they can get him for the league minimum. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, second-round pick and the league minimum? Sure, we're there.
It sounds harsh, but am I wrong? The NFL
no. Well, I don't. I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too. But the NFL has a history of caring about winning more than anything else.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, fans like to bitch and complain. Well, they had it. They had it right here in Kansas City with Tyreek Hill had the problems in college where he got out of Oklahoma State because basically had a problem with the mother of his child, and Kansas City gave him a chance, and
now he's a top 3 receiver in the league.
Right. So, all right. Let's switch gears here a little bit, Scott. Grizzlies and Pelicans got a little trade going on there. They've going to send Valanciunas, a number 17, the number 17 pick in the 2021 draft, and the number 51 pick in the 2021 draft to New Orleans for Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, the 10th pick overall and the 40th pick overall, and a protected 2022 first-round pick via the Lakers. Who won that trade? Well, I know who lost, me having to recite it.
Yeah, I'll let you go first because you had to recite it, so I'll let you give your thoughts on it.
It just – I really like Valanciunas. And I'm just not a massive Steven Adams fan.
Is it because Valanciunas looks like Travis Kelce, or is that just pure coincidence?
It's just a pure coincidence. And I'm not gonna lie, if Steven Adams was African American, I probably would think he's a better player than I do right now, because he just looks like just the goofy white guy that doesn't really do much of anything. I mean, he's a decent defender. He's a decent rebounder.
He's a stiff. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, he is what he is. So I will say that, but I liked Valanciunas. I'm going to have to say that the Pelicans were the winner there. I don't love that they had to give up Eric Bledsoe, but I think they're getting the far better player in Valanciunas over Steven Adams.
See, I think we're gonna disagree a little bit because I think Bledsoe is atrocious, and so do the Pelicans, because that's why they had to give up an extra pick to get rid of him in the first place. You can make an argument that both teams as of right now are obviously not good enough to win a title. So if that's the case, then Memphis being able to move up 7 spots in the draft and picking up another first-round pick for next year makes them win the trade, even though Valanciunas is clearly better than Adams. I agree with you. I think Valanciunas is a very underrated big man. I think that he's a lot better than Adams right now, and I think Bledsoe stinks. I think he's a negative asset.
You think Adams is going to get better?
Do I think what?
Do you think Adams is going to get better?
No, I'm making the argument that from a player perspective, the Pelicans got the better players. My argument is that since both teams aren't good enough to compete for a title anyway, the Grizzlies getting to move up in the first round and a second first-round pick makes this trade more even than I think you're giving them credit for.
Do you think that New Orleans believes they can win now?
I would say define a win. Does making the playoffs count as a win for this franchise?
How about a first round home playoff series?
That's not happening.
Okay. All
They're
right.
not going to finish top 4. That's not happening.
All right. Do you think they believe they have a shot at that?
Now maybe.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
Do you think they picture themselves as title contenders?
Well, we got to imagine this, though. They just got rid of Eric Bledsoe, and Alonzo Ball is rumored to maybe go to Chicago. They don't exactly have a point guard. That's a problem. I'm not a big Lonzo guy, but at least he's a point guard.
Right.
So you can talk about Alexander Walker maybe taking over that role, or you can just go through the actual roster. Besides Zion and Ingram, which as a duo, I don't think works, and there's rumors that Ingram wants out, so he might be going soon anyway. No, I don't think this team is good enough, and that's not even going to the fact that defensively, this was one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and I don't think getting Valanciunas over Adams is going to change that. So, no, I think this team is going to be lucky to make the playoffs.
So let's say that number 10 pick would have been Davion Mitchell from Baylor.
That's probably who they would have considered going for.
Right. So does that make Memphis the winner in this trade, though? Considering if they go that same way, which they don't have quite the same need at point guard that New Orleans has, but do they go a completely different direction, or is that still going to be the best player on the board?
See, it's tricky when it comes to winning the trade because both teams are going for different things. I think that New Orleans is looking at the cap space, the fact that Bledsoe stunk and they can get rid of him, and then maybe with this big man combo of Zion and Valanciunas, they'll be good enough on the inside to just dominate teams. I don't think they're going to, so I think that's going to be a problem. Meanwhile, Memphis made the playoffs last year, and they end up moving up in the draft, got an extra first-round pick, and it seems like Memphis has the foundation in place, but they're willing to sacrifice a good player for the potential future. So I think New Orleans seems to be more focused on the now, and it seems like Memphis is more focused on
The future.
3 years down the road once the
Right.
draft picks might develop into something.
So maybe New Orleans just ends up taking Jared Butler then.
They might.
The other guard from Baylor.
I'm assuming you'll agree with me, though, with a brand new coach and with no point guard right now, assuming that Lonzo leaves on the active roster, I got to assume New Orleans is going to struggle, don't you think? No offense to Willie Green.
It certainly seems that way to me. I don't know. I mean, we've seen how hard it is to win without a viable point guard in this league, especially.
And I don't like the duo between Zion and Ingram because Ingram insists on being the guy, and you're not that guy, pal.
They've got to work that out.
Zion.
They've got to work that situation out.
Yeah, they're going to work it out by shipping off Ingram. There's no way they're going to trade Zion. I mean, Zion's a ridiculous player.
Well, and Ingram should bring a nice haul too.
Yeah, he should.
So maybe that's where you get your point guard.
Yeah, but it depends if New Orleans actually wants to blow it up entirely.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that doesn't look like the direction they're headed in.
No, but I do like what Memphis is doing. Even if you don't like the trade because you think Valanciunas is good, I do like the idea of being an 8 seed and realizing instead of being complacent and trying to keep everybody together for more experience,
right?
We're willing to trade off our second best scorer on the team to try to build for futures, maybe post LeBron LA. I kind of like the move for Memphis because you move up in the draft and you got another pick out of it.
Are you excited about the draft? We know the draft is coming Thursday, right?
Well, first of all, did I persuade you at all on that Memphis angle?
Well, yeah.
I mean, going to impact who's going to win a title. We know Memphis and New Orleans aren't going to win titles anytime soon, but I do like Memphis is preparing for being a steady playoff team for the next couple of years.
If you look at it as far as the future role, then yeah, I think Memphis probably picking up the extra number 1 pick and getting a 10 over a 17 is probably a good move for them. If you're in a win now or win soon mode, which I think New Orleans is with Zion, right?
I think they're trying to because I'm sure in the back of their minds they're thinking Ingram and Zion, whenever their contracts are up, they're not coming back.
You wouldn't think so.
Well, Zion maybe because if you do have the same team extension rules where you can make like an extra $60 million or whatever you're making, so maybe. But I doubt Zion's going to stay past that.
Well, that exacerbates the timeline even more, accelerates the timeline even more, where you've got to win sooner.
Yep.
So draft coming up Thursday night. We've been looking at some draft props. Anything you really like, Scott?
Well, just to actually talk about this for the draft, kind of goes back to the NFL draft or any draft of any kind. I'm a fan of chalk. It's just how I usually go about it. Occasionally you can find a flyer, maybe a sleeper who could go top 3, top 5. Usually, if a prop is minus 1,000, it's free money. That's usually how it goes.
Yep.
So if you want to talk about any props I like, I found a prop on Evan Mobley under 3.5 at about minus 360. A lot of juice. Do I care? No. I think he's going top 3. Would I take him top 3? No. But I think that the upside is there in the minds of these front offices. And Cade's a guaranteed first pick. He's minus 8,000 on DraftKings. He's going first.
Right.
Dylan Green, I'm sure you've done a little bit of research on, he's got upside, but he's a little bit raw. And they feel like there's a ceiling there that's higher than everyone else.
Right.
But the floor is dangerously low. And then you have Mobley, who is easily viewed as the best big man in this draft, probably the best defensive player in the entire draft, either him or Scotty Barnes. And offensively, he needs some work, but there's already some blueprints there as long as he gains like 50 pounds, which is the huge question mark. But teams like to believe in drafting high upside young guys who they can morph into potentially being a Giannis-like freak who can make a couple all-star teams. I think Mobley's going top 3. So if you want to talk about what I'm expecting, I expect first pick Cade, second pick Green, third pick Mobley. But Mobley even going two to Houston would really not surprise me. Would that surprise you?
No.
I wouldn't do it, but it wouldn't surprise me if Houston does.
No, and I agree. They do have the only thing that makes me pause there is they've got Christian Wood, who kind of came into his own over this last season, although he was banged up and missed a chunk of the regular season. But I think he was kind of could we call him a breakout star?
Yeah, we can say that because he was probably favored to win most improved player over the first month and change.
Right. So my question is, do they feel that there's a need there, or does this team just have too many other holes to fill?
See, I think it depends on how you look at it, because do you think that Houston's going to be competitive during the window of Wood's contract? Probably not. So you can make a serious argument that Houston needs every position 2 times over. You could take Mobley for the upside, and based on Wood's contract, where he's making like $20 million per, that's low-key a fantastic contract to trade. Like now or in a couple years. Is Wood, with that team-friendly-ish contract, worth maybe 2 first-rounders to a desperate team? I don't know. What do you think?
It's very possible. And the other thing you have to remember is Houston has 3 first-round picks this year.
Yeah, Houston's preparing for the long haul.
Yeah, they don't have to hit a home run on that first pick. You and I, we talked about this as we were doing our show prep. We have a wide chasm of a difference of opinion on Evan Mobley.
I wouldn't say we have a wide chasm because I'm not as high on Mobley. I know you're pretty low on him.
I am.
I'm trying to view it from a prop perspective and what I think's going on in the heads of the GMs there. I think they look at Mobley and they see a defensive anchor for a team who could blossom offensively with a decent amount of development. So I think that a team like Cleveland is going to take him and maybe let Jared Allen walk, maybe a sign and trade with him. But I know you don't like him because Timmy killed him in the tournament. I understand that gripe with him. I'm just trying to view it saying teams are going to look at the upside and get blinded by it.
Well, he's 7 foot 210.
Yep.
So
he's better than Chet Holmgren, who's like 140.
What's that?
He's better than that Gonzaga commit Chet Holmgren, who's like 7'2", 160.
Yeah, that's the only player that he can dominate at this point.
Him and Pokashevsky.
Oh man.
But anyway, just to go back to it, even if you don't like Mobley, I think you could probably also see him going top 3.
Oh yeah,
I like under 3.5, like minus 360. That looks like a gift to me.
Yeah, I definitely think that's right. Anybody else that you see value there as far as any props go?
Well, that also is going to kind of take me to. I said I like chalk. Jalen Green's a pretty heavy favorite to go second.
Yeah.
Just looking at the numbers here, he's. Let me just try to find the exact number here.
Well, I've got him. Well, as far as exact pick goes, he's minus 350 to go number 2.
No, I'm saying, do you have a yes or no option on that?
No.
Okay, so I actually did see a yes or no option on that, so I got to dig that up. But I'll let you give your brief thoughts on Green while I pull it up.
Well, I think at the end of the day, I think Jalen Suggs is going to be the best player in this draft. All right, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that. I think
I'm a big Suggs guy too. I don't know if he'll be the best player, but I do agree with the upside.
I would rather have him than Cunningham right now. I think he has more of an upside than Cunningham has.
I think Cunningham is a very safe pick for number 1. Maybe I'm also missing the upside. I think he's good.
Yeah.
I don't think they're treating him like he's a franchise savior. Like I don't see that.
They're trading him like they did Zion a couple of years ago, where just an absolute stone cold lock who the number 1. No.
So the book that I see actually took down the odds, but I'm pretty sure Green was around plus 270 to not be top plus 270 over 2.5 for draft selection.
Okay.
I like the over there.
You're saying there's some value there. You're saying that they might.
I think Mobley could go 2.
You think that the Houston sneaks in and tries to take Mobley?
I think Suggs could even hypothetically go 2 if you want to get really wild with it. But the point is, Houston, according to reports, has tried to offer a bunch of picks to Detroit to move up to number 1, which means Houston clearly likes Cunningham, and I'm assuming that means they don't like anybody else. Because if they liked Green, they probably wouldn't be trying so hard to trade up for number 1. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. So you're saying that they're just going to pass?
No, what I'm saying is I think that they're going to take somebody, but if they're not completely sold on Jalen Green, which I don't think they are because they're trying to trade up according to some rumors, I don't think Green should be minus 350 to go second.
Okay.
Do you?
No, I don't think there's any value in that at all.
If I had to take anything on that prop for an underdog, I would take Green to go third or later at like plus 270.
All right. Okay, very good. All right, let's take a look at tonight's baseball card, rather, Scott. It is Tuesday. Probably my favorite baseball day of the year or of the week, Scott, because you don't usually have very many day games, and tomorrow we have none.
I view everything in terms of hindsight. I got everything right in baseball yesterday, so yesterday was my favorite day.
Okay, good enough. And I only missed out on the White Sox over the Royals. I thought that was I thought we were catching some value there. Other people were convinced it was a sucker line, and apparently it ended up being a trap line. So, yep. And we even played the sounder yesterday, Scott. We even played the trap line sounder. Still didn't convince me. Went right ahead, plowed ahead with taking the White Sox because they're the better team, had the better pitcher. But yeah, not so much.
All good.
All right, so we got everybody in action, Scott, and they're all playing at night. It's a beautiful thing. We don't have time to do every game, of course, because that's kind of how we roll. But tell me what you like on this card.
So, looking through the overall card, my question for you here is, don't you blindly have to fade the Nationals even though Matt Moore's terrible? They're just inventing ways to lose games. I like the over in that spot, but I like the Phillies yesterday. I like the over in that game, and the walk-off home run by McCutchen helped me out on both accounts. But Moore has not been good, but he's also not been atrocious. But it's mostly just fading the Nationals. This team is clearly about to blow it up, and I would fade them until they actually just win a game. You get swept by the Orioles, then you blow that game against the Phillies yesterday. That's brutal. I got to go with the Phillies.
Okay. I know you're not a big Brett Anderson guy from Milwaukee, but laying just minus 134 to Tyler Anderson and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Hasn't Anderson been – sorry, they're both Anderson. Hasn't Tyler been decent lately?
He's been better than he was. How about that?
Well, the bar was set pretty low, so
that's what I'm saying. I mean, in you're getting Milwaukee at minus 134 there.
The only thing that's giving me pause is the fact that Tyler Anderson pitched against Milwaukee on July 4th. 7 innings, no runs, 3 hits. So he has fared well against Milwaukee this season. That's a pass for me.
Okay. All right. And Brett Anderson has actually pitched better lately. He's given up just 5 earned runs in his last 4 starts. So, he hasn't been as awful. But yeah, he did absolutely deal against Milwaukee. In fact, I think if I remember right, I think I had Milwaukee on the run line in that game behind Freddie Peralta. And Freddie pitched well. He was fine. They ended up winning that game 2-0 as the Milwaukee offense picked that time to go in the deep freeze. But I'm getting a good price here on a better team. I'm assuming Milwaukee's the better team because they're in first place, although they haven't been playing very good baseball lately. I've got to take them here at a decent price.
If I had to pick a play in that, I'd probably go Pittsburgh first five, but that's just because Anderson pitched really well against them earlier this month.
Okay.
So other than that, my question for you is, do you want to back one of our favorite guys in Robbie Ray against Boston, even though Toronto is in the middle of slumping and Boston looks really, really good?
Yeah, they really do. I hit a premium on the Red Sox yesterday. Of course, we had to wait till the bottom of the eighth to take a lead that they did not relinquish. I just every time I see Garrett Richards, this guy's still in the league. But yeah,
It's really crazy, isn't it?
he's
The first
not only
place team has Garrett Richards in its rotation.
he's not pitching great, Scott. He's a guy that's going to give up runs. And Robbie Ray went out last time. We backed him, and we just had this matchup, and Toronto was a massive favorite, and they absolutely crapped the bed, losing 7-4. Robbie Ray wasn't great. 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 4 earned runs. I think Robbie Ray gets back on it here. Even though, and the problem with this Toronto team, we talked about it yesterday, Scott.
The bullpen's so atrocious.
The bullpen is terrible, and they can't beat good teams. They haven't won a series against a winning team since May. So they do well on the little sisters of the poor, but they don't do very well against the big boys. Boston has done well against teams over and under 500. Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate taking a sniff there on young Robbie Ray, but I'm not sure that there is any value. I don't want to lay the wood there, Scott. I'd probably play it at even money. I'm not going to play it at minus 125. That's going to be a pass for me.
I would look at first five if you want to take Ray, but I'm not going to get involved. One underdog I do like tomorrow. It's my boy. I like Gomber going up against the Angels. I know Suarez has been pretty good this season. He's been worse at home than on the road, so his home numbers are worse. But Gomber's just good. I know that his numbers might not wow you. The 3.74 ERA while pitching in Coors half the time is definitely impressive, but he was the main guy they ended up getting in the Arenado trade. We've backed Gomber a couple of times on this show, even on the road sometimes, which is always dangerous with Colorado, and he's worked out well for us every time. I just like Gomber. I just think he's a good pitcher. And the Angels, we know the bullpen stinks, so that kind of cancels out with the Rockies. But do you think the Angels should be about 140 in this spot with Suarez? I don't. I'll go with Gomber. You?
All right. And I know Gomber's been out for a while. I know he's just coming off the injury list.
Which is always a bit of a concern. He actually pitched on the 21st. So he came back after missing a month.
So he has made one start.
He made one start, 6 innings, 3 runs. All 3 runs, though, solo homers, which is kind of fascinating. But I just don't think the Angels should be laying 140 against Gomber.
Let me ask you a question. Is Minnesota a team that deserves to be a minus 210 favorite over anybody?
I would say no, but I liked Minnesota yesterday because Detroit looks like they're about to fall off a cliff.
Yep.
I would go with the team total over for Minnesota, but I get it's the same thing we talked about yesterday. If you want to take the value, take Detroit. But I thought Minnesota was going to win yesterday, and they did. Bullpen almost blew it, but they won. I don't think Detroit's going to win this game, but if you want to take a plus 1.5 with Detroit, I'm not going to roast you for it. I think it makes sense.
I don't, you know what, for value's sake, I'm going to take the Detroit Tigers at plus 192.
I think it's always tricky when it comes to trying to find value, fading a terrible team when the team you're backing is in absolutely atrocious form. Detroit was peaking for about, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Yeah, right about that. They
completely fell off a cliff in the span of about 5 days.
And there was a lot of outlier stats that
suggested regression.
Indicated there was some regression coming, and that's exactly what happened. Is they got ran out of town by the Royals. Minnesota, you know what? They're doing what they do. They're an actual bad team. I think it's time people face that reality.
I'm just saying, if you want to take Detroit for value, kind of like yesterday, I understand it.
Right.
I don't think they're going to win. I'll take Minnesota team total to try to avoid backing Maeda at minus 210.
Okay. Yeah. Maeda has been.
I'm just, I think Alexander's okay, but Minnesota's got a lot of pretty talented righty bats there, or they got some. I think they'll be able to get to Alexander.
Yeah, I mean he's actually been very good. Of course, it's another guy that's had to miss a month due to injuries.
Doesn't really go length though, which I think is a problem.
No, he's generally good. It's going to be an open. It's going to be a bullpen day for Detroit, which that's never a great thing.
That's why I'll go with the team total. I'll try to get some value there, but I got to talk to you about one game.
Okay.
Which we got to love it because it's the toilet bowl of the day. How do you not blindly take Arizona on the money line at around plus 140 against Texas?
I was looking at that too.
Texas is laying 150, and they're in the stretch of one of the worst week and a halves I've ever seen from a baseball team.
Yeah, it's been awful. They cannot score.
And Arizona, we know, is awful on the road. They have the all-time record for most losses in a row.
Yeah.
But Texas is really laying 150 in the middle of an 11-game losing streak. You got to take Arizona. If you're talking about value, that's the value you got to take.
Yeah, that game was circled for me as well. You're absolutely right. If you're going to take it, I think those are two excellent dog shots. One of those dogs cashes.
I think it'll be Arizona.
I know you do. And well, the odds say they should be because their odds are less on them. But yes, any fading. I mean, we ran into this same situation when Arizona was in their losing streak. Mm-hmm. When you'd open up and they'd be like a small favorite, a minus 120 favorite. You're like, what are they doing? And
even when they were an underdog, it was like plus 110, and it's just like they should be plus 180 in every road game.
They were playing much better ball than Texas was. Some of those games were competitive. They gave the lead away late. Texas isn't competitive. They're not scoring any runs.
I'm not exaggerating. It's the worst stretch I can remember from a baseball team in the span of a week and a half. They can't pitch and they can't score.
Well, let's see. They have scored 1 run or less in 6 of their last 9.
Have fun taking minus 150 with that.
Yeah, that's dreadful. Yeah, and you're going to take them to cover? Yeah, no way. So
no, I'll go with Arizona.
All right. Well, Scott, obviously we did save one. We did save our best pick for the last. It's time to take a look at the game that you and I love the most. We put our heads together, come up with one play. If you had to bet it all, if you had to put all your chips in the middle on just one play, this would be it. Scott, once again, it's time. Climb on that tractor, everybody, and bet the farm. Scott, how'd we do yesterday?
We had the first 5 under in the Rockies and Angels, and we won.
Never a doubt at all. All right, we're going to grip it, rip it. We're going to make it through this, everybody. We're going to take the Miami-Baltimore under 5. That's going to be first 5 play there, right?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Yep. Sandy Alcantara against Spencer Watkins. Alcantara has been an under machine, 3.23 ERA on the season, 1.15 whip. In his last 15 starts, the under has gone 10-3-2, and he has not seen the over hit since May 14th. Meanwhile, Spencer Watkins for Baltimore is a rookie. He's made 4 appearances this year, 3 starts, but he has been very good, giving up 1 earned run in each of them, 1.65 ERA, 1.16 whip. We all know about Miami's offensive woes, averaging 3.9 runs per game, 28th in the league. 28th in the majors. Baltimore's averaging 4.16. That is tied for 24th. Too much pitching, not enough offense. We're going to keep the bullpens out of the equation here because it could get ugly there. But for the first 5, we're going to take Miami, Baltimore under 5. And that is going to be our Bet the Farm play. It's going to do it for us. It's going to do it for the show for this Tuesday. We do thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to drop us a comment on the YouTube if you're doing it there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, et cetera, et cetera. Good luck on all your plays today. Thanks for being with us. And we'll see you tomorrow on Whiners and Whiners Radio. Take care, everybody.